Shamps and giggles. History, news, views, and reviews from a black perspective. Shamps and giggles back for 2024. Oh my lord.
Just amazing. As we continue, products, here comes trouble, here comes danger. We're just talking about Lawrence and so and so, which is I'm glad for her, by the way, as well, because she's a baroness, so she has a lot more clout. Yeah. So she can talk, and when she talks, she gets heard. So that's a really good thing as well. But you know they say, right? Out of adversity comes opportunity. You know, sometimes it's painful, but you know. So what else I've gone, Keith? What are things I've gone?
There was one that was also in the news, and I think it was more today or yesterday. To me it was a breaking news information for all of us here and the listeners. They all know about it, or we know what's happened in the past with slavery and so on. There's a Barbados leader, Halts, 3 million payout to the UK, to a UK MP for Drax Hall. And a lot of people know about Drax Hall Plantation. She refused to pay the money, which is a bold thing to do. And I'm not sure if there's many presidents that owe the UK money for slavery and plantation things. I don't know if they've gone that far and said, you ain't getting this money. We're not paying you this time. 3 million. And that was the government's U-turn. If I get her name right, the PM, the Prime Minister, Motley, she acknowledged the anger and so on about the repatriation, and she said she ain't paying it, which I take my hat off to her, because I don't know if other prime ministers who will be bold enough to do that to the UK.
So she holds a £3 million payout to him.
Yes, to the MP, the Conservative MP.
Yeah, because I mean that place has just been locked up. It's also very, for me, I would have said part of that is a historical site, because there's a lot of our ancestors are buried on that site that never had burial. No. Okay. Ooh. And these people own this plantation. You're still here in the UK. When our parents came here, as I said, they came here and lived in housing, one people's rooms. We lived in rooms, okay? We've never had a good deal on housing. Maya, which is my prime minister, because as I said to you already, I don't accept Britain.
What name again? Maya?
Her name is Maya Motley.
Maya Motley. The name sounds familiar though, don't?
Yes. So what I'm saying is, where she's saying that the land, because it's 50 acres of land. So where they're saying those 50 acres of land should come back to housing. So you see all people like me that's living in overcrowded, because you know it's not like it's changed, let's be honest. Yeah, because I live in council property, so I could take my deposit and go out there and get a bit of that land out there.
Let's have a look at this here land. It's flipping. It's very
imagine that. My Barbados, and let me just also say Barbados, the amount of wealth that came out and paved here in consideration to us as Caribbean people when we came here, and how we've lived and what we've done and contributed. We live in the same squalor. Our homes are not that much better. So yeah, give me Drake Hall. Let me come and put something out in Drake Hall. Let me come back home. I'm ready, because this is not where I belong. And even the British say that.
Let's listen to this report here, because it was like shocking, to be fair. Yes. I'll play it and then we can talk about it afterwards, yeah?
Sometimes referred to as the Great Wall of Dorset.
Oh, let me just pause that for a minute. It's in the Dorset area, and of course you guys can't hear it properly, yeah?
Yeah.
No, that Dorset is the gentleman. The MP.
That's where he lives. He lives in Dorset.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we're
yes.
showing you his
Yes.
wealth, where he
Yeah.
No, but it's wrong.
Yes.
Let's
his
watch it
wealth
first.
accumulated from Barbados, and then
Let's
you want
watch it
me to give
first.
you
And
3
Pinky, you
million
can have
on
first
top
thought.
of what you've got.
Hands up. You got first dibs on this, Pinky, okay?
Okay.
Sometimes referred to as the Great Wall of Dorset. 3 miles long, it's just one symbol of the seemingly endless wealth of this area's largest private landowner, Conservative MP Richard Drax. This is Charborough Park, Richard Drax's enormous country estate, thousands of acres worth. But it's not just what's behind me that belongs to him and his family. They own huge swathes of Dorset and get most of their income today from farming and from rent. But the origins of this vast wealth are 4,000 miles away, the sugar plantations of Barbados. Built in the 1600s, Drax Hall overlooks land where a fortune was built on the back of the slave trade. Passed through the family for generations, Richard Drax is the latest to inherit. Now there are calls for him to relinquish it.
We are seeking compensation. Mr. Drax visited us and was engaged in conversation with the Prime Minister and myself. We're appealing to his conscience. And if that does not work, then we have to go to the ultimate, which is the World Court, in order to resolve these issues.
Back in South Dorset, Grafton Straker, a constituent of Richard Drax of Barbadian heritage, agrees.
I was born in Barbados. I see the crops. I saw black people cutting sugarcane in Barbados, and it breaks my heart. I think the symbol of the wealth has come from slavery, the slave trade of the Caribbean and of Barbados, and we would like him to hand the land back.
Richard Drax.
He's been an MP since 2010, but has never spoken publicly about his family's historic links to slavery.
Time's up, Mr. Drax.
He was confronted by it, though, in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement, as anti-racism campaigners called on him to make amends. But should he bear any responsibility for the actions of his ancestors?
The reparations argument has become very controversial because people look at it as a money grab. They think it's a long time ago, but the reverberations of it is still being felt by the descendants of enslaved people.
As a newly established republic, Barbados is looking to its future, but also its past, with talks ongoing between the country's politicians and Richard Drax. He refused to comment. But as the calls grow louder, can they break through the silence in South Dorset? And behind the wall, is anyone willing to listen? Liz Bates, Sky News, Dorset.
Wow.
I should go there and camp on his property.
Too right.
Yeah, I've got rights, yeah? I should go there and camp and
I
go
think
out
they
there
did that
and
during the
wave my banner.
What do you make of that, Pinky?
All of that. They know where their wealth comes from. They know where their wealth comes from. My thing about this whole thing is that, you know, this is not just yesterday. This has been going on for a while. I am so glad that Maya, my Prime Minister, has actually put a halt on it, because we were meant to be paying him. And I thought, how dare they? That's another insult. Barbados, how can you allow that? Were you going to really allow that? Knowing how we already live in this country, you're going to allow that? How we live in the UK, in our raggedy, overcrowding 2-bedroom homes in high-rise council undesirable, once were undesirable estates. Now they're building up so much around us, you couldn't even swing a cat to afford what's out here. Give me Drax.
That's true. Hold on, wait. These council estates, which before they were saying were undesirable, they're building them all over the place now.
But not where you can go in then. That's the thing. Where they've got, listen, remember, you know, Conservative, 150, yeah? Margaret Thatcher's right hand. In fact, if you looked at his catalogue, it's like nearly 3,000 council homes, 150 just across the road from where I live. He owned. These people did some. Listen, they were the most corrupt, and they have been the most corrupt government ever that we've ever seen since. I can't even tell you because I was born in the 60s. There's been no government like them before.
Okay, there's so many things to talk about.
And he's the same under the same MP Conservative. Listen, you don't know these people. I'm telling you.
So when we thought right to buy
enough
was
is
for
enough.
us.
Enough is enough.
Right to buy was helping the Conservatives. Okay, so
PPIs. Look, come on, man. It's
undesirable buildings. That's what they said of the estates back in the day. Look, where I am in Stonebridge, they knocked them all down. But now we see them building up these tower blocks all over the place. Just not too far in East Statt where I am, they built one, and it's £400,000 for a 1-bedroom flat. Is what they're charging. Okay. Leisha, go on, Tactic.
Yeah, I was going to bring it back to Barbados and about why my Motley and the Barbadians are very upset about this. This man, his family have 617 acre of land that the Barbadians were going to purchase to house their homeless. So at the moment, they've got over, they said 20,000 homeless housing applications. And my Motley wants to build 10,000 homes to meet with demand at the moment. So
they're going to pay him for it, though.
Yeah, but they've halted it because of everything.
No, they're going to pay him for the
3 million.
Land
they were going to pay
he has at market value, 21 hectares, 30 football pitches is about the size. They're going to pay him the market value for the land.
No. He owns, listen, Richard Drake, he owns 617 acre land in Barbados that was once operated as a sugar plantation for his ancestors in the 17th centuries.
Right.
Yeah. Now the government, they plan to pay market value for the land to provide housing for the Bajans.
Right.
Which is 3 million.
Which is the land was 3 million, which is a market rate. However, following widespread backlash, the Prime Minister Maya Motley, she announced that the acquisition will be paused in light of the Bajans' anger with the mill. So the people are saying, why are you paying that 3 million for this land that where they basically enslaved us? It was a horrible place. It was horrible. Like people died on that plantation.
Right.
And it said, as I said here, it says, as a result of blood, sweat, and tears of Bajans over the centuries. Yeah. So they've been robbed of their own land. And now these people have robbed their land, made money in the wherever, taken the money out of them. They now want to sell it to Bajans, the very people, the result of the ancestors' children, to say, oh, you can have for 3 million. And no. So Mama is like, no. The people are like, no, not going to have it. You're going to give us back this land. We want
and then they're going to say that they have nothing to do with slavery. Look at the whole of Dorset.
Yeah, but hold on.
Look how much he owns, and you still want 3 million. You still want 3 million.
Yeah, but 3 million.
I'm so glad that because this is the young Bajans, you know. I'm so glad because they're so educated. I'm so glad. Okay, that they are the ones who have made Maya halt this. Yeah, because it's going to be war for 3 million. How dare you insult us again? They must be crazy.
Now, interesting on that point, and we're doing the hands up, yeah? Interesting on that point. So at that price, the 21 hectares, if they paid Drax, it'd be 3.2 million. But what they would make of the land, it would create 500 low and middle income family homes, which would then be for sale. So people would be able to get housing. But it's however you look at it, the people then have to work again because their forefathers already worked, made this man very rich. And then this man gets paid again. And then the people, the black people, have to now got to pay to live in the houses, right? So they're then paying again. So I can see why there's going to be uproar. Like, is this madness when you look into the history of it? Smiley, you got something to say? Talk to things.
Yeah, because that gentleman Drax, he's saying that why should my family or him personally, his family, immediate family, pay for the problems that his great grandfather did 200 years ago?
Right.
And the issue is as well is that, can you imagine in the 1800s, when the slavery got abolished in 1834, you got to think that the government, the English government,
right,
paid the Drax family compensation,
right,
for releasing the slaves, you know,
right,
because they released all those slaves that they had at that time. They paid them over £4,000. I know £4,000 now is a lot of people. Some people, I'm not saying a lot of people, because a lot of people can't afford 4,000. But them days, £4,000. Listen, I reckon that was come like $500,000 back in them days.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and it just shows you that money always seems to want to follow money. The rich always want to get richer off of the poor man or off of something that's been done. It would be better for him to say, you know what, my great-grandfathers did this treacherous deal back then. It was absolutely bad. We benefited in England and across the world, everybody, for the sugar and the cane. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it back to you. I don't want to know. But he's not said that. And I think in the long term, I have a feeling that they will make Barbados pay for that land. He's not going to give it for free. And I reckon that the lawyers will be waiting for Barbados to trip up and say, no, you forfeited on your payment. You need to pay us that money. It's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on this.
Well, it's a legal, hold on, wait, the thing about it, it's a legal case.
Correct.
And if you think about it, the laws are made up by certain class of people. So they're going to bend the law to suit themselves. So as you were saying, in 1834, just to give a value to the £4,000, yeah?
Yes.
£100 now, sorry, £100 in 1834 is worth £16,000
my gosh.
today.
And that's £100.
£100. Now, if you times that by 40, so 16.
Now you know how economics keep people poor, yeah?
Oh my goodness.
Now you know how economics keep
one minute. Let Joe finish.
Let's just do the math here. So if you time...
Joseph, you're doing maths. The thing is this. You can't look at things like that. We cannot look at, that's how much money it was. We can't look at things like that, because what you could buy then was a house for probably 100. Yeah. Nowadays you can't. The thing is that it's appreciated in value.
Yeah. So that's a few million anyway. So the point of the matter is, right?
Yeah.
So it was what he's asking for now, 3 million is adding insult to
injury. Yeah, I agree.
It is really taking the PI.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So but this Drax, seeing how much land he has in Dorset, do you see that building? Did you see the amount?
Quoted it. Thousands of acres. Thousands of acres.
3 miles.
Well, that's
still on the man's property.
That's as a result of slavery. So that was heavily invested in the land. He invested. This is the thing. When they put numbers, this is what I don't like when newspapers do this. They put numbers in newspaper. They say it was they were given £4,000, £5,000 paid off the slave owners back in the day, which is worth over £500,000 today. The point is that thousands of people, tens of thousands of people would have been enslaved and lost their lives in a plantation had no freedom to do what they wanted to. It's people's lives. On top of that, they've taken land. Okay, they hold on to land. I mean, he's in England, in Dorset. Give the people land back. You've got your money. You were compensated. You were compensated for not being able to enslave people any longer. So you should have left it and gone back to the UK. And that's what he's done.
All the lost the land as well.
That's what you should have done.
Because they got the compensation back, then that's exactly the point.
That's
the land and all that stuff. Well, especially the land in Barbados.
Yeah.
That should have been relinquished immediately.
Yes.
That should not be his to this day. I mean,
no, but then we were still under British rule, wasn't it? So they still felt that they could still own the land. Like there's a lot of land within Barbados that even Bajans live on today, okay? And it is what they would say, slave land. So it's not land that they can sell, like, you know, it can only stay within the family.
Right.
Right, because their parents work that land, all right?
Yeah.
So because that family history come down and they work that land, they get that land, okay? But they get it at a rate where they can still be on the land and you pay a little minimal
subsidy.
But to me, it's still that it should be theirs to do what they want. If they wanted to sell it on, they sell it on. But it can't.
But even
it
on
can't
that point,
be.
Pinky, there has to be a way for it to become the Bajan. So I think the suggestion was that they would build the houses on the land and then sell it. Then, you know, people are gaining ownership that way. But I mean, could they go back in history? See, the thing with the slaves, half the time you can't identify them.
Yeah, it's that.
So
listen,
to say that this child, well, this is someone who's a descendant of a slave.
Listen to something. No. No, wait. You've got to understand something. Yes, we can be identified because that's who we are, the Caribbean. So we were the descendants of slave. We are.
No, but who?
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Clearly, then we're identified. Okay. Barbados, right the way through the Caribbean. And also West Africa, but Caribbean is where, because West Africa they didn't, you know, that's where we were pulled from first, and then in the Caribbean we made the money. We were the laborers, okay. Our ancestors were the laborers, okay. Those that are still there, which is why the Caribbean is in the state and the economical state that it still is in. Jamaica. Because Jamaica was one of the richest, if you go back in history and look of what came out of Jamaica, was one of the richest countries in the world, little tiny Jamaica, in comparison to the rest, I'm saying. So what I'm trying to say is their wealth came through our labor. Where, you know, this, I mean, I just don't understand the imbalance of why we would think, even us who are born and bred here, that you would think that you're not identified as once your ancestors. Yes, you can be identified as once as your ancestors being enslaved, because you try and trace back your side of your generation coming from the Caribbean. Very hard. You can do your ancestry's blood, but where's that? Where's that extension? It's not, it's been cut. So for us in the Caribbean, yes, it's very easy to identify. Yes, we want our reparations. Yes, we should have Drax Hall. How dare they tell us? It's just like Africa wanting back, because we had this argument about their artifacts that you stole and you're going to loan back to us. These are the things that we're saying. Come on, this needs to stop.
You know what?
It needs to
be
stop,
absolutely
such
fair.
an imbalance.
But if we weren't having this discussion as we do each week,
when we came here
realize
as the Green Rush, we never came here into nice homes. We came here in rented rooms.
Go and let Pinky finish.
Rented rooms where it said no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. Listen, we've never had it good here in terms of homes. Those who have been lucky to buy their homes and when we had the rush of Margaret Thatcher selling it off because they knew what they were doing, because they were creaming them while they were giving 1 and 2 the opportunity to buy your home.
Yeah, they knew that exactly what they were doing. A lot of the people in the government at the time were living in a council house. When she did the right to buy, a lot of them politicians were living in a council house. So they knew what they was doing. And
none of us came here and had homes and houses. We lived in rooms first.
Yeah.
Okay? Just remember, because I can remember.
Funny you should say that. Funny you should say that. Many of the immigrants and so on that are coming in, quote unquote, they're living in rooms now. That's why you go on the website Spare Room. You'll see that's where they go to get a room and to get their roof over their head. And then they work 10 of them, and then they buy a little something, and then they work and they work and they work. And that is still happening today. It's still happening today. So let's get back to Richard Drax. We've got to break it down piece by piece because there's just a lot involved. Pinky, you covered a lot there. So he is a conservative peer or whatever. So he's got a ton of land in Dorset. He's got a ton of land also in Barbados. Now, let's talk for Barbados. That land in Barbados, when they were paid off, he shouldn't have held on to that land. Leisha, agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. But like I said, I put in the chat, what the British and the Spanish did and the French did in the Caribbean islands, when slavery was abolished, they left the islands in utter poverty.
Yeah, but Leisha, listen to the point. They left it in poverty. Brilliant that you've raised that. That's a classic example of why him owning that land in Barbados, he shouldn't own it. Give that bad boy up. Don't even, because you've been paid and you left the people them destitute. And to now get paid again?
Well, I think it's a kick in the gut for him as an ancestor of his slave owner forefathers to then say, oh, that happened so many years ago, when you're living pretty and happy in a lovely lifestyle, and you're still holding on to what your ancestors used to enslave the local people.
Yeah, just because he can. It's not because he's not going out there. Yeah, he's not going out there to do anything with it, just because he can. So this 3 million payout is true. Halt that bad boy. And that's what Maya Motley done. By the way, I think we should hear from Maya Motley. Big up Angie Williams, you're down at the building. Big up Crazy Cousin in the building. DA is in the building. Watagwan, Watagwan. Natural Mystic, Sister Queen. Look, everybody there. Oh, Lord. We're talking about Barbados. And should there be reparations? Not reparations. Should Richard Drax be stripped of the land he has in Barbados, wherein there was a plan to pay him £3 million for that land? Now, Maya Motley, don't ramp with Motley. The name ring a bell for some reason. But don't ramp with Maya Motley. She said, no, me not pay you a penny. And she's halted the payment. Let's just hear what she says.
There's a lot of conversation recently about the acquisition of land at Drax Hall, 50 acres to be precise, for the purpose of low-income and lower-middle-income housing by the Minister of Housing. I understand the concerns of many Barbadians who may feel that they have been robbed of the opportunity of having an appropriate settlement for the reparations that ought to be made as a result of the blood, sweat and tears of Barbadians over centuries. I want to make it clear that this is not a matter that we take lightly. Indeed, the Tenantries Freehold Purchase Act was enacted and dealt with by successive governments because we recognize the need for the government of Barbados, whoever that government is, to be able to make reparations for people whose ancestors who are forced to live in some of the harshest conditions and who are deprived of all opportunities to be able to make the best for themselves and their families. So we get the concept of reparations both domestically, but also, as we have been doing, internationally. The reality is that we have been at the forefront of making the call for reparations against those who contributed to the decimation of this country and the lives of people, while at the same time enriching themselves and building out the Industrial Revolution and that which has now become the climate crisis caused by the greenhouse gas emissions coming from the Industrial Revolution. So we get it. But at the same time, I need to remind us, Barbados is a country that is governed by the rule of law. We have never made it a habit, or nor am I aware of any example where we have expropriated people's land. When people have land that is a subject of compulsory acquisition, by law we are due to pay for it. At the same time, that does not preclude us from going aggressively to be able to pursue both through our advocacy and, as we are seeking to do in recent times, through the preparation of what are our legal options with respect to being able to take action not only against the owners of Drax Plantation, but also against all others who have contributed to the condition of this country being regrettably one of the worst examples of modern racism in the Americas. We believe that there is a justifiable case for us to continue to mount. We in fact met with Mr. Drax some time ago. I am not happy with the pace at which these discussions have continued, but believe you me, we will, as we are required to do, pause and to listen to Bajans to understand what is really at stake here, recognizing that we do not cut off our nose to spite our face. And what do I mean by that? That we should not deny ordinary Barbadians who are in need of housing the opportunity to have housing, but at the same time that we pursue with greater alacrity the issue of reparations with respect to Mr. Drax and with respect to any others with whom there is a case and a chain of custody that we can justify. The Drax Hall is one of those few ones that we can actually trace the chain of custody back to the 17th century. And to that extent, the government has expressed itself as wanting to be able to find a settlement that would be just for the people of St. George and the people of Barbados. Given the conversation, I believe that it is appropriate for us to pause the acquisition to allow for greater conversation to take place, and also for us to be able to see where we are in terms of being able to get some kind of reasonable settlement with Mr. Drax, recognizing that in our conversations, without prejudice to anything else, he is aware that the government of Barbados feels strongly about this and will pursue these matters.
Well, there you are. I think that's a politician right there. That language was quite diplomatic, understanding, reasonable, addressing all sides. Like, come on now. Whoa, you actually had some big words in there. I mean, it's past 9 o'clock, let alone 3 o'clock. School is over. I can't even repeat some of them words, but good Lord. As we digress, we're not going to digress too far. I'm told I have to go to break. We will come back. I guess this conversation is going to continue. We will be back to continue the conversation after these words.
I'm missing you. I'm missing you. Dry cry, even tears, even my heart cries, but who cares? Whose fault's no one but myself. Things do happen, words can't explain. Beyond the human reasoning, joy mixed with pain. People would spend time just for us to separate. They don't want to see us reach nowhere. Oh girl, and you know I care. Why does it have to be this way? Can't tell you go, can't tell you to stay.